Hey there, guys. Sean Michael here from WinBeta,
Uh-huh.
and welcome to Talk Microsoft. We're here to chat about all the latest Microsoft and Windows related news. With me, as always, is co-host Sean Ung. How you doing, Sean?
Doing great, thank you.
And hopefully everything can be heard. Those people who tuned in live got to hear audio issues live and troubleshooting. So hopefully, if you're listening, those didn't happen, and you have no idea what I'm talking about. But like I said, we're here to talk Microsoft. We don't have a ton of breaking news, though we do have a new build this week to talk about, and a couple of leaks and niggles and little things like that. But a big concept for today is we talk about our canceled devices that we really want to see or we really want to own. So I think that things going to my right, Surface Mini, also, those types of devices. What do you want that we have leaks for that was canceled? That's going to be a big bit in there.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into any of that news, how you doing this week, Sean?
Doing great, doing great. As I mentioned earlier, beautiful day here in Seattle. Nice break from the rain. Sunny.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Hey, I'm doing all right. It seems like, Sean, in a distant world that we don't cover as part of our jobs, everything's somehow different than it was a week ago.
Yes, yeah, the day after we had our podcast, the world changed. Or it's
Yeah,
changing.
so
It's changing, I should say.
yeah, so there you go. But that being said, speaking of that election, the Surface was all over Windows. I mean, obviously, people use Windows everywhere. I mean, that's a pretty common operating system. But specifically, the Surface
Yeah.
was all over the election night. I remember on CNN, I was watching they had this giant Surface hub, and it was so smooth and slick, and they had this custom interface. And I
Mm-hmm.
watched the video on how they built it,
Oh, really?
this app.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really quite interesting.
Cool.
It wasn't how they built it, it was just breaking down what it is. What they would do is they'd have a big board with the entire country, and they could click on any state, and it would show all the districts, and it would be red or blue, depending on which party was currently leading, and how much percentage had reported in from that district or that state. And it was really quite interesting to watch them bounce around on this surface of it. It was so smooth, so fluid. They were obviously well practiced and well rehearsed. But all that being said, it was that Surface Hub in action. And according to Tangy Bananas in the comments there, BBC had one too.
Wow.
So, Surface Hub, it's got a big enterprise role. But Microsoft is pushing and pushing, I think, more of these big name places. I don't know if there was a deal with CNN or not. I honestly don't. But whatever it was, it worked well. Even if there wasn't one, CNN, I think they got to be happy. It looked so smooth, and it was just live, continual updates.
Yeah.
And it was really quite interesting. And you were saying to me earlier today that you saw services around as well.
Yep. Surface Pro 4, Surface Books. I was mostly watching NBC for the news, and yeah, I saw a lot of Surfaces on TV for sure.
So, yeah, now you see the surfaces in the NFL, surfaces in elections, Surface Pro 4 is in election coverage. So there's a lot of Microsoft stuff going on. That Surface brand, I think, is really, I
Yep.
think that Surface brand is very prominent.
Well, I remember, a few years ago when I used to see a Surface out in the wild, I'd be really excited, like, oh, wow, somebody's actually using a Surface, and immediately me and the person using the Surface would become best buddies. It's just like, oh, you're using a Surface too, let's talk about it.
Right, exactly.
But it's like now I just see it everywhere. Now it's just kind of,
Right.
not really boring, but just like, okay, yep, two guys using Surfaces over there. I see one on the train, one on the coffee shop. Yeah, it's just like I'm starting to see it everywhere.
They're certainly more standard than they were a few years ago. I went to I was speaking to an artist today, and she had a big old Mac. It looked really nice. But I was talking to her, and I said, "Oh, have you seen the Surface Studio?" And she said, "I actually have a friend who's I think is thinking about buying one of those." And we were talking about it, and it's they're really pushing that professional crowd, but obviously on the consumer level, I think they have a lot of products that look promising. We'll see. Can I admit one thing to you, Sean?
Uh huh.
I think the Surface Studio is it looks well made. It looks very well designed. But for that price, I almost think you have to be an artist to want it. Well, aren't there other all-in-ones that run Windows like a champ and do that? Unless I'm an artist and I need the foldy down part, do I need that extra price bump?
That's the price point was really it kind of caught me off guard a bit. I think it's really interesting, and yeah, I think we'll just have to watch to see how well it does. I mean, I know a lot of people are excited about it, and yeah, maybe it's targeted towards kind of that high end market.
And that's fine, I guess. Well, I mean, there's a limit to how many Surface devices they can have. Well, there's like form factors. They do like one per form factor. They even removed the Surface Non-Pro line,
Yeah.
apparently,
Yeah.
because there's no Surface Non-Pro 4.
No, those are my favorite. The non-pro lines were actually my favorite.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's it for Windows in the World. That could be like a new segment. We'll start building graphics for the show.
You know what's really interesting though is so I see a lot of Macs when I go to coffee shops and out and about, and now I'm starting to see a lot of Surfaces. I don't know about the UK, but over here I rarely see just like regular, other third-party brand Windows laptops. Like whenever I see one, I'm like, wow, that's somebody's old school.
I guess, I mean, yeah, and it's odd because there are so many different well-made Windows products. You have the Dell XPS line, great. I know HP's gained a lot of publicity, and I think a lot of people are liking them. Obviously, harder, there's the higher-end gaming ones and editing ones as well. Razer, I think, comes to mind. So, but yeah, I guess I think there are a lot of services around, a lot of that type of thing.
Yeah, it could be the demographic, the type of people who actually take their laptops to coffee shops. Tend to be the ones that don't use the third-party branded laptops.
I don't know. I mean, I see. Maybe it's a lot of my friends are students, and they kind of. I think one of the things that they get Windows for is because they can afford it.
Yeah.
And so I do see quite a few. I think, and people are saying that as Tang Banana as well, saying in the UK, Asus and HP, as he would say, because they say HP over here. That's it. If you say H, it's H. Because it starts with the
letter
H.
Anyway. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So, yeah, I think that, it'll be interesting to see how that landscape changes.
Yeah.
Windows in the World, Sean. Somebody make a graphic for us, or somebody who is good at it, talk to us. Maybe we can work a deal out or something. We would love that. Windows in the World.
Yeah. We were starting to see that trend changing, a few years ago, and I think that's when Microsoft's like, nope, we got to change this back. Windows was dominating, then they could kind of see the writing on the wall with Macs coming in, and I'd say that for steering the ship around and exerting dominance, they're doing a pretty good job. Their strategy is working.
For all the people that hate Satya Nadella, Microsoft's doing pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think those stockholders are complaining. Well, actually, I don't know this, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're doing pretty good things, and I think their design team's great.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's the hardware side of it. Now can we talk software a bit? We have a new build to talk about. We haven't had one with tons of new features for a while. And there's new build. It's Windows 10 build 14965. And it actually comes with new features. This is it is a creator's update build. We'll get into that in a bit. One of the features that I'm excited to actually play around with, I am not running it on this device yet because this is also, I use this device also with my wife, and I don't want her running inside her crashy build, and I'm sure she wouldn't either. But I'm excited to test out this feature more. It's controlling external monitors from tablets. And one of the ways that they're implementing that is a virtual touchpad. So I'm just going to read what they wrote in their announcements. The virtual touchpad lets you do more with a tablet and second screen. So you connect it to a monitor, act center project, and a quick action to extend your screen. So this is about extending your screen, not mirroring it. And then you press and hold the taskbar and select Show Touchpad button. I actually had a third-party software that did this.
Okay.
Just in general, it was they changed names. I don't know. It was mouse. There was a mouse control like this, but I like that it's built right into Windows 10. It'll show that it'll look remote. When I have another monitor on the screen, it's pretty normal for me to be using a tablet. And I want to be able to control that now, but usually I'd have to have them mirrored. and that would limit how many different things I could do because I mirrorcast things to a TV all the time.
Yeah.
Are you a big multi-monitor guy, or do you
Oh,
project your things with mirrorcast a lot?
oh yeah, all the time. I do wireless, Miracast. I plug it in directly via HDMI. I'm always hooking up to monitors.
Do you see something like this helping you? I don't know if this is a problem that you run into or not.
I'm pretty happy with my setup. I'm excited to try it out, and I think it might be something I use if it's smooth and works well.
The big thing for me is I use a lot, all the time. I'd say the primary use for Miracast for me is watching full screen videos on a TV that there isn't an app for on the Xbox.
Yep.
And so for me, this is a big help. So I'm excited to test it out.
Yeah.
We also got some other things. The sticky notes were updated. Expanded our support and insights. So no, it's there's more language, everything. The sticky notes are updated. It's not a huge deal fixing things. I think they have more shortcuts. Yeah, Control B and all the little keyboard shortcuts. Windows Ink improvements. I don't think that there's anything too substantial there. You can now include a link to handwriting training tools. So there you go. The address bar and registry editor. To be honest, I don't use this. I've used regedit, I think, once in my life, or at least for one problem. But people do use it, so good on them for not leaving those users behind. Improving Hyper-V experience in VM. I don't think that's worth too much discussion. Not that it is important, but I don't know how much fun it would be.
Yeah.
And they fixed something. So, what are we going to talk about here? Let's be honest, do you use what I just said?
So I think same as you, regedit, I only use it when I'm looking online for a solution to a really weird problem.
I think I mean, I'm glad that they still update it. It's that's great. They need to do that, but I'm not personally going to use it. And I don't think it's too fun to talk about. But there you go. There was another thing though that we wanted to talk about. You're running an insider build, and you tested out 3D Paint. So why don't you walk us through what you thought about that?
Yeah. So you can see I've got it right on here. This is actually something I made with my 6-year-old daughter. Just this little smiley face. There's this competition, I guess, going on where they're inviting the community to build a lot of emojis. So that's one that I made. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It's as easy to use as Paint, to be honest. With Paint, you had the color palette. You just pick a color and start drawing, and then you could just start making whatever you wanted. I feel like it's really that easy. You just you can start drawing. You can drag in 3D objects. You can place them. So it's pretty nice, pretty easy. I would say it's not very powerful, but that's not really what it's meant to be. So it's just something fun. It's something for whenever there's a new operating system or an update. The majority of stuff that happens is in the background, right? It's stuff that consumers don't see. So I feel like something like Paint 3D, that's what people actually look forward to, right? Something tangible, something they can dive into right away. And
they want to test new products,
So it does good. It does a good job. I like it.
I think, I don't know. Let me ask, we talked about this, I think, on our first ever talk, Microsoft. Do you think that 3D is actually going to be more revolutionized, or is this more of something that creators are used but people really won't?
Oh, that's a good question. I know Microsoft is really pushing 3D as a platform. For decades, we've been talking about, when will computers become 3D? And I feel like the time is actually now, right? The transition's happening now. Everything that you're seeing here, this is still technically just 2D on a 3D screen, but you can start to see it. I can take what I made and put it into the HoloLens, right? Which is real 3D. It's not just 3D on a 2D screen. So yeah, I feel like we're starting to see the very beginnings of the transition. And my guess is in about 3 years, ish, our computing will be more and more 3D, like real 3D.
Well, as long as it makes video games better, I'm happy.
There you go.
So yeah, that'll be the. No, I agree. Maybe it'll take 3 years. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see if it'll. Because they painted it as like, look, little kids are going to be using 3D technology. Well, maybe they are. Little kids pick up technology pretty fast.
Yeah.
You should see old people try to use technology versus young people. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm always amazed when my kids use my HoloLens. I'm like, wow, how did they figure that out? Yep.
It looks like excuse me. Did you watch the? Have you seen the movie Galaxy Quest?
Galaxy Quest.
It's Tim Allen. It's like a
Oh
parody of Star
yes,
Trek.
yes, I did see that.
I'm really sorry.
Oh.
So it's a parody of Star Trek. Well, so for those who haven't seen it, there was a TV show within this fictional movie world. There was a fictional TV show, and it was like Star Trek, parody of Star Trek, or parallel, whatever. And an alien race got the broadcast and thought they were actual space heroes, and they built a whole spaceship around it. Don't worry, this will come back. Don't worry, this is a famous Sean rant. It will come back. Long story short, they're like, fly the ship, and they got the actors from the TV show to try to save the day. Spoiler, but this movie's pretty old. So they get the actor and they're, save us. And the guy's like, I don't know how to fly this. And they're like, we built this ship based off of the movements you made on the television show. So just do what you did there and it'll work. And it does. And that's, honestly, it almost looks like that was with some people when they pick up the HoloLens. Just boop, boop, boop. It's like it was built for them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So there you go. Galaxy Quest. You didn't think you were going to get that today, did you?
I did not. It's been a while since I watched that movie, and now I kind of want to go back and watch it again.
It is a great film. And Star Trek had the holodeck, and we have HoloLens. I mean, it's there.
Yep. Yeah, you know what's interesting about the creator's update though is the name, right? I feel like it's such an awesome name, but I don't know how many of the updates are actually related to creating. I think Paint 3D is a big one, and then there might be like 2 other small ones, but the rest of the stuff is just regular updates. So
what am I thinking here? The scanning a 3D object with your phone?
With your phone, yeah. So
that's part of the update.
I guess so. Yeah, I can't wait to try that feature out.
But you have to go break out a Windows phone to do it.
You have to have a Windows phone, or will it be built into the PCs too? I don't know. We'll see.
I couldn't tell you. What they showed it on was a phone.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that rolls out. Microsoft isn't too exclusive with their technologies in terms of features. I think, to be honest, they know that people wouldn't use it if it was only on Windows Phone. So even things like Skype, SMS Relay are coming to Android. But if some of that is dependent on what the operating system can do.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's as simple as an app can do that, or if there has to be some sort of deeper integration with a lot of different sensors. I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll come to Android. They showed it on a Lumia, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think the Windows Hello camera on my Surface, I use it all the time to log in, but I feel like it's got so much more potential. It's such a powerful 3D camera. It's like, I want to use it for more things than just logging into my computer.
Can you pay out like on Amazon with it?
Can I what on? Oh, pay on Amazon? Not that I know of, but
I would think that they could work up some sort of payment add-on, and maybe other sites have done it, but I think some sort of secure login.
Yeah, you can use it to pay for Windows Store apps. I know I've done that before. So I don't.
So maybe they can make a deal with Amazon and some other companies.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Can you imagine though? Don't program me in your kid's face. Like, do you want to pay for this? Yeah. Scan. All right then.
Yep. Fun stuff to look forward to. The future is bright.
All right. Well, do you want to talk a bit about Skype as a guest, and then we'll get to more surfacey stories?
Yeah. So this is, I guess, a really tiny one, but kind of cool. One of the major holdbacks for Skype has been that you have to have an account to use it, right? And it's such a pain to sign up for anything. If you want somebody to join your Skype call, they better have an account. If they don't, forget about them joining Skype just to
join. Have a Skype account,
right?
I'm sorry, but who doesn't have one of these?
I think everyone actually has, but sometimes they're a little. They have to wipe off the dust and remember what their password is.
That might be more accurate.
So
I bet you they all have WhatsApp accounts, Sean.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It bothers me why WhatsApp is so popular. Even though I'm a WhatsApp user myself, I just don't understand it. But we talked about that last week. But yeah, Skype for guests. So now you can just create a conversation. There's now a link to your conversation, and you can send that link to anyone, and they don't actually have to log in. So anyone, anywhere can join your Skype call or Skype conversation with just a link. And to me, that is killer. That's, that kind of breaks down all sorts of barriers, because now it makes me actually want to use Skype and send a link and talk through Skype, because
And it tricks people into using Skype.
it tricks people into using Skype. So I think that's a really wise move. Honestly, that should have been done years ago. I don't know why it wasn't, but we finally have it now.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. I wonder if that'll improve Skype's user base.
Yeah.
They actually still have quite a few, like hundreds of millions in terms of actual users that use it.
Yeah. It's used, Skype, I think, is used a lot with freelance work. So a lot of people, for example, in India and China that do like graphic design and other freelance type work, all of them primarily communicate via Skype. Skype's like the business platform of choice for that. There's a whole industry out there that uses that.
It's interesting, Microsoft bought Skype, I don't know how many years ago now, and I haven't felt like Skype was specifically ostracized from the rest of the Windows world, but it was, I would say, relatively a standalone product.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, it wasn't like, well, I mean, it was there, like if you log into Office Online, like it is there, I get messages, like if I log into the OneNote, you're over there on the right sending me Skype messages about the show and stuff. But now with Office Teams and all that stuff, I think they're really integrating it. So it'd be interesting to see if this is used more.
Yeah. I wish that everything fell under the Skype name, because I love unification, right? So I feel like Office Teams, they should have put Skype in there somewhere. Skype Teams or something, I don't know.
Do you think Skype still has... I bet you they view Office as a better brand than Skype. I bet you they view that as more reliable in people's eyes.
Could be, yeah, because Skype, for some reason, has a reputation for not being very reliable.
Well, when you say Skype, people think video chatting.
Yeah.
When you say Office, they at least think about documents.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Is Office Teams, is that technically Skype? That integrated into Skype? I don't think it is, right? I think
the new one, yeah. Are we talking about the same members called Microsoft Teams? I don't know.
Microsoft
the new
Teams,
one,
yeah.
Online.
Yeah.
People can jump in and out of Skype calls all the time.
Okay. Oh,
it's like a live rolling kind of Skype thing, I think.
So Skype's so Skype is a feature of Office Teams, but it's not. It's not all of Office Teams or Microsoft Teams or whatever. Yeah.
I think that's right. Anyway, why don't we talk about the service dial a bit? I think that's a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Technology-wise.
Yes. Yeah. So there was this video, really quick, showing how you could use the Surface Dial to debug your code, kind of jump in and out of code, and press play to see if the code's working. And I thought that was pretty interesting. It was kind of something that I hadn't seen before, and saw some user comments on that video talking about how that's that might be a little bit of a gimmick. I don't know if it'd actually be useful, but I think what's more important than the debugging use is the fact that kind of like what Panos showed you can scroll through Word documents. There's a lot of uses for the Surface Dial that people necessarily haven't thought about yet. So I guess what I was trying to say is the Surface Dial a solution in search of a problem? What do you think, Sean?
Oh, that's a really good question. The artist tool, I think that was what they premiered it with, and I think that it will. I think it will be improved. The dial in terms of artists, the more they use it, they'll see what the usability works and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's like an issue that it is fixing. It might be like a tool that I think that's a really good way to phrase it. It's a tool that they're looking for ways to use it, I guess would be another way to put it.
So I love dials in general. I love the dial in my car to do the volume. I love the dial to switch between radio stations. I hate buttons. I much rather have dials for everything than buttons, right?
Dials and touchscreen.
Yeah.
All dials and touchscreen.
Yeah, or like a really high-end stereo. There's that.
Or touchscreen dial.
Yeah, you put your hand on the dial, you change the volume, you feel the friction. Like, I just love quality dials. I think it's awesome. I think where Microsoft should try, I don't know how they could do this, but if you could use that same dial to adjust your volume, to adjust your brightness, to use it as tools within your apps, debugging codes, I think that's great. Scrolling. I think if there was a really elegant way to change what that one dial does so that it does multiple things without having to go into a bunch of settings and just like having it, I don't know if it's voice activated or what, but I feel like the dial would be very, very nice and useful if it could do so many things easily, right?
Yeah, I think that's true.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it this way. I think they will do that. I really do think developers, at least in certain fields, will use the dial quite a bit.
hmm.
And I'll give you an example I'd really like to use. Videos, fast
Ah,
forwards, fast forward further,
yes.
that type of thing. I think that
Yes.
could be a big, big, big benefit.
Yeah.
I'd want that.
You know, I think, did I talk to you about this? I can't remember if I did, but one of the saddest things for me when we switched from VHS to DVDs was fast forwarding didn't feel the same anymore. you 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 couldn't experience fast forwarding and rewinding. It was just like it would just skip frames. I'm like, this doesn't feel like I can't like see it. So yeah, I feel like the dial would help with that.
I can just see you in like 1995 with like a cassette tape,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you put a pencil in it to rewind it, and you're just like, oh, I can just imagine. Look at this; it's just rewinding.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
no,
got
that's interesting though. I mean, I do think people like that tactile feel, and it's kind of funny because you go from a physical medium, which is inherently tactile, to digital, where you lose that, and then they build a digital alternative with the physical input in order to get a tactile feel, even though you're not actually physically moving anything.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of the goal.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, and everything can be digital, but there's something about us as people. We like to have our hands and manipulate stuff.
Yeah, no, and people want that, and I think that's what they're shooting for here with the dial. So yeah, it would be interesting to see what developers do.
Yep. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much it. Not too much news around the dial.
All right, then. Well, we have the biggest news of the day. It's not actually news at all. It's just a discussion. This is called Talk Microsoft. So we're also going to talk about Microsoft and also obviously Windows as well. This week we saw a leak or a video, I guess not, of the Moonraker. It was this smart watch that Nokia made. Microsoft, we could have seen this. Could have seen it, could have run, could have been a thing, could have, should have, would have, but it's not. I'm assuming it's never going to see the light of day. It's not like the band. It's much more of a smart watch. And in terms of design, it's not like the band.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it looks a bit like a Microsoft. Well, it's not even Microsoft. It's like a Nokia Apple Watch imitator, but it doesn't have the fitness as much.
Mm-hmm. I've got the LG watch
back day because I was a fanboy of Microsoft. I still kind of am. I'd at least look at it.
Yeah.
But we saw that, and we also saw a phone with the physical keyboard that obviously I don't think there's any way in the world that's ever going to see the light of day, but it was planned. And so we wanted to talk about what canceled Microsoft or Windows device you really want to own. What comes to mind when I say that question? What device do you want to own that you can't own because it was canceled?
I guess for me, one of the ones I've been super curious about is the Surface Mini, right? And we've talked about that a little bit. I think there's just so much mystery around it that I just want to see it,
I think the Surface Mini, they could make a dynamite one of those now. But I think the issue is I don't think Microsoft wants to kick OEMs out of a market space. So they built the Surface, and it kind of did like premium pro tablet with an attachable keyboard and a kickstand. But then you see someone like Lenovo, and they do the Yoga series, and you see some of these other. I don't think you'll ever see like a Surface that flips like a yoga book, because I don't think Microsoft wants to get rid of Lenovo. I think they like what Lenovo's innovating.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance that that's one of the reasons that we'll never see a Surface Mini. We might see a really big Surface phone, but I don't know if we'll see a dedicated Surface Mini tablet.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree. And there was a lot of rumors before the Surface Mini came out that it was going to be $99, $199, and that really caused some OEMs to panic big time. And I think that was one of the reasons for Microsoft not releasing that, in my opinion, is they didn't want to freak out the OEMs. And how could they price it, at the same level as the regular Surface, right? That doesn't make sense either. So, yeah, I agree with you.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm struggling with something here. Yeah, I mean, I think the Surface Mini would have been great. You know what really bothers me, Sean? Panos Panay, as far as I know, just like straight up has one of those and uses it.
Oh man.
So like, I think I've even heard. I think he even said he has one on his bedside, and you just like, so you have it every day. You could be using this device. You won't show us.
Yeah. You know, so at one of the Microsoft events I went to, I asked one of the engineers about the Surface Mini. I wasn't recording him or anything. I was just in conversation. As soon as I asked him about it, he started sweating like bullets, you know. And I felt really bad. I'm like, okay, let's change the subject. I don't want to make you uncomfortable.
Hey, Sean, can I ask you a quick question?
Uh-huh.
Is your cursor on my face right now?
Is it?
Can you move your mouse?
Oh, man. It's so
I
subtle.
don't know if it is or not. Anyway, yeah, so that's interesting with the Surface Mini there. So I think most people have wanted that at some point. But you know, another thing that people have said they really wanted was this Band 3, and I fall into that category. If I had to pick one that I would personally, no, I don't know, I would want a Surface Mini, particularly like a newer Surface. I wouldn't want the lids. I mean, I probably would enjoy having the Surface Mini from years ago. But if I did get a Surface Mini, I'd want a new one with new specs. But
Yeah.
the Band 3, the rumors around it, the leaks, the photos, that type of thing, they look really sleek. It looked pretty much just like the Band 2. They also threw in like some sensors that I don't know if I would ever use. I don't know if I need like an EKG on my wrist, but it was going to be waterproof.
Ah. That's key.
You need,
watch needs to be waterproof. I'm sorry.
Yeah, even for just everyday stuff. I mean, look, my wife swims. I'm not a big swimmer anymore. We used to have a pool. I love swimming, so I'd like the ability to jump in and out of water without breaking a watch, which, as you said, should be second nature at some point. But it was also going to track swimming, but it wasn't that different in terms of the design of the Microsoft Band 2, which looked pretty sleek. It sounds to me like they couldn't get Windows 10 IoT running on the thing or Windows 10 variant running on it. I don't know. The whole team kind of, I think, got disbanded.
Wow.
On accidental, but it is there.
No pun intended.
So I don't know if we'll ever see. The rumors are apparently we're not going to see this. Maybe OEMs will pick up the slack. The idea was that of the band would be that other OEMs would start using some of these services anyway, and they just kind of didn't. I don't know. Would you want a Microsoft Band 3? I don't know if you're a band guy.
So when the first band came out, I was really enthusiastic, and then when I saw that I don't know about the form factor with the long screen and the way you actually have to wear it under your wrist, not on top of your wrist. So that was for me that kind of like, okay, I don't know about this. And then the Band 2 came out, and I actually saw the Band 2 in person, got to play around with it a little bit at the Microsoft event. But yeah, I wasn't really convinced, at the time. And yeah, to me, the perfect watch, and to all smart watch makers out there, don't put it under, don't even put it on top. It's got to be on the side, right? Because that's the natural position. When you raise up your wrist, that's the first thing you see. This is uncomfortable.
So where do you want it? You want it like here?
Yeah, right. When you raise up your hand, or like when your hands are just down, like resting on your lap or on your side, and you glance down, what position is it? Yeah, it's right here.
I don't know. My wrist bends a lot this way, Sean.
Right?
I want to watch here, where watches go.
What is that? Where you put your watch? Right here, or is it?
I put the watch face right there.
On the top.
Yeah, because then it's a watch. Look, I use watch. If it works for you, I don't care. Well, you can put your watch on your elbow for all I care.
Not the bottom.
I've never seen. So you wear your watches on the side of your wrist?
No, I don't wear them like that. I wish I could wear them like that. Right?
Well, you could wear a regular watch like that. Do you wear your regular watches like?
I don't know. It doesn't. It slips. I would if I could, but it slips to one position or the other.
Oh, all right then. Well, I don't know. I guess they could try. If Apple did it, people would say it was innovative.
Yeah.
I think here's an issue for it. I think I want, and then when we can link this into another one that's here, I want a smartwatch that is a smartwatch. I like the fitness aspect of it, but I think this Moonraker looked pretty sleek.
It did, yeah. I would have got that over the Surface Band for sure.
And it's not, I mean, I know that they're different. The band's got so many sensors, and if it's waterproof, that's a big plus. And it's a little different. I mean, you could get used to looking at things like this. I feel like you have to tilt your head, though. If
Yeah.
you look, let's say it's like, oh, this just seems more natural to me. But in any event, if I want to watch, I think some of the sleekest looking, I want them to be thinner. To me, you could have the band with a load of sensors and then a smartwatch with less sensors. I would accept and would be interested in a smartwatch with little or zero fitness features that was just a smartwatch that was a square on my wrist
Yeah.
if it was really thin.
Yeah.
And there are some of those on the market that have like text support and that sort of thing. Vector comes to mind, and that
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah. So I use an
So I would look at
LG.
that.
I use an LG watch. It's a Google watch, and I've had this for about almost a year now, and I actually love it. I was a smartwatch skeptic until somebody bought me this watch, and I was still a skeptic when they bought it for me. But after a week of using it, I'm now a smartwatch convert. And so,
What converted you then? What were you worried about before, and how did having one change your mind?
so before, I had a G-Shock watch, and I was like, it needs to be waterproof. I hate the thought of having to charge it every day. What is it gonna do that my phone can't do? It's all kind of, I'd say, the standard arguments that you hear a lot. But the surprise feature, this is any smartwatch. This is not just Google or Apple or Microsoft. The surprise feature is you use your phone a lot less because you're not checking every notification. You just glance and see what it is, and if it's a boring notification, you don't bother taking out your phone. So it saves you time. And I use the voice feature like crazy. Set a timer for 5 minutes and navigate somewhere. Yeah, right? Like voice is really, really cool for me. So yeah, I'm a smartwatch convert now. And if Microsoft came out with something cool, I'd be very, very interested.
I still want the Surface Watch with Continuum.
Yes.
I just want it.
Wait, Continuum?
I just want them to put. This is my. Have we not talked about my dream of a Surface Watch?
I didn't hear about the Continuum part. How would
I
that
want
work?
a Surface Watch that, and I know that they can't fit it there this small, but this is what I want, Sean.
Uh-huh.
I want a Pocket PC Surface Watch that when I walk up to any monitor can mirrorcast to it.
What?
That's what I want. I want a full PC on my wrist. That's what I want.
Wow. That's quite ambitious.
It could be running Windows 10 mobile, and you could be using the Continuum experience that's going to continue. So UWP Surface Watch with Continuum and Miracast. But by the time the technology is that small, we'll probably all have a HoloLenses attached to our heads. So I don't know how much watches will be that important. But that is my dream. My dream is a watch that when you walk up to a monitor could like auto connect, and then it would like relay. You would walk around and it would unlock your PC if you were on your PC, or you could use it as the Continuum experience when you walk up to a monitor or a locked PC, because you can do that with Continuum. That's what I want.
I think you're onto something. I'm envisioning monitors and phone-sized monitors, touchscreen monitors that have no operating system in and of themselves, but rather that basically your smartwatch is your phone and it beams to these blank screens everywhere.
That's the dream, mate. You know what? They have pocket PCs that are like this big.
Yeah.
We're not that far away.
Yeah.
Maybe they could make a watch, but it'd be like this long.
I honestly believe that watches will go the way of the phones. Right now they're watch-sized, just like phones are phone-sized. But they're going to blow up in size because people want bigger screens. I think it's going to happen again.
Well, if you promised me a full UWP Continuum experience, I'd get a pretty big watch.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
It would look like, do you watch Futurama?
Yes.
You could have like Leela's like wristbands.
Yeah.
And on here it would be like UWP, and then you could project it to other stuff.
I think it's inevitable. Once we get a flexible, durable screens, yeah, it's inevitable.
Did you see? Apparently, was it Samsung that has this folding phone idea?
Oh yes, yeah, I saw that at CES.
So, yeah. So that's pretty cool. That idea is pretty slick. Did you? I don't know a ton about it. What did you see? And do you think it's viable in the future?
It's just I'm assuming you're talking about the screen that can actually roll up, right?
Well, that's one of them. I think they also had a folding phone idea.
Oh yes, yeah. So it's a phone, and you can unfold it, and it becomes a tablet. And it uses that same screen technology that can fold.
Oh, so that folding screen, that's a big thing.
Yeah, so it's small like a phone, and then when you want a bigger screen, you just unfold it and it becomes a tablet. And it uses
I know
that.
this seems. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it uses that same flexible screen.
I think you get that and Continuum. No, no. I think it's weird. This might be a weird clarification. I think rollable screens that's great. It's incredible. It's a big step in the right direction. But I think another one or another jump forward would be an actual foldable screen that, like, you know, like when you fold paper, you roll paper, there's no crease.
Yes.
And then if you crease, it's that actual fold.
Yep.
The thing for me was some of these screens that you roll up. I said, well, what if someone put that in their pocket and then sat down? Then all of a sudden it's going from rolled paper to,
Yeah.
you know, flat, and it'd probably break it. So
Yep.
you need creasable screens. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The technology, in my opinion, is still a little too far away. We'll see what happens. I think we're actually going to move away from screens, but that's just my opinion. So we'll see.
Well, let's do another bit on screens for just a second, because we're talking about folding and screens.
Okay.
Do you know about the courier that was planned? Am I pronouncing that right?
I heard about it. That's an old idea, isn't it?
Well, I asked people on Twitter, what's a device that you'd want that's been canceled? And one of the responses was a courier. So it was this like dual screen touch stylus enabled thing that folded?
Yep.
I think the idea was that you were running two relatively independent screens that worked together, like you could swipe things between them, but they were running two different things at once.
Yep.
And then it could fold up in like a booklet?
Yep.
Is that, am I missing any major details, or is that about the sound of it?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I don't know too many details about that because it never came out. But yeah, it's supposed to replace your notebook basically at the time before when notebooks were quite popular still. Not electronic notebooks, physical notebooks. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. Would you want something like that? I feel like a small tablet does that now.
Yeah, I think back then maybe, but now I think that what the courier was trying to achieve has been achieved now with the devices that we have. So I'd say we've arrived at that future.
If you combine the idea of the courier with this foldable phone thing, I think that might be something that they're going towards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's almost like the courier. It'd be like a phone, tablet, foldable, like the Samsung thing, but it's like the courier. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the main purpose behind the phone tablet thing that Samsung's doing is the idea of how do you get a bigger screen without making your phone ginormous, right? So this would be solving that part.
Well, and then people always say, why do we want to build it thinner? You know, and I've asked that too. Is removing a headphone jack, worth making the phone thinner? No. But, is doing this worth making it thinner? Well, if it's thin enough where when you fold it over once, it still easily fits in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
Then it is.
Yeah.
If two phones stacked together with the fold in them,
Yep.
if you had like a Lenovo hinge, something there with the zero, hinge, and the two thin phone halves, you'd still have, a pretty thin device. So
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. The saddest part for me whenever I get a new phone is when I have to put a case on it. I'm like, my beautiful thin phone just became fat. I was like, oh, great.
I actually like a bit of body on a phone.
You do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want like a brick, but my wife loaned me her Xperia Z5 for a couple days. I had to use it for my American football team to stream a game. And I also need to take it in to see if we can get it repaired. But in any event, most of it works mostly. So I've really gotten to use this in my hand. It's not huge, but with a case on it, it's not small. And I like that feel in the hand. I don't want to feel like I'm going to break my phone if I sat on it.
Yeah. The only thing I make sure when I get a case is that it has a kickstand. I got to have my kickstand on my case.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Adds a little thickness, but yeah, I got to have a kickstand.
Do most phones have an easel style or like a photo frame kickstand where you can put it in landscape or portrait? Landscape or portrait.
The case, you mean?
When you put a kickstand on
On,
it, is it like a photo frame where like you can put it upright like this
yeah,
or lands? Yeah,
most of them work both directions. At least the ones that I've always bought. Yeah.
there you go. Cool. Let's see any other devices. What about the Lumia McLaren that was canceled? Would you want one of those?
I'm not sure. Remind me again what that one does.
So that was the 3D touch phone that a good friend of mine, Zach,
Okay.
actually got one.
Oh, he did.
And he got to play. Yeah, he got to play around with it. There's a video of that one, but it's yeah, he showed it off, and it had 3D touch, so you could do like this hover thing. It could sense if your hand was on the side of your phone, and then it could like do things accordingly. Like I think if you were holding your phone like this, and then you tilted, it would know that you were still holding your phone like this.
Yeah.
And I think it like wouldn't rotate the screen because it knew you were still watching it upright.
Yeah.
And then it had 3D touch as well. So this was like when I was first going to buy a Windows phone. The McLaren was like, "Oh, it might be coming. It might be coming." And I was like, "Well, I need a phone. Like, do I wait? And I got a 930 instead. And it was like it never came out. So I guess it was a good thing I didn't wait. But yeah, you know, it seemed like it had a lot of features. It had a lot of tech in it, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many sensors.
You know that. So Amazon came out with their Fire Phone with all these cameras and 3D stuff. Lumia has been doing a bunch of stuff with, in the past with massive cameras and all these weird features. Samsung is notorious for they've got their like invisible swipe thing. They've got their the like feature zoo basically. And Apple. I feel like all these companies are trying to figure out like what's the next thing to put in a phone. But in the end, people like they get excited about it, but they revert back to just this is my screen and I'm going to use my one finger to select my items, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. On one hand, I don't think phones are going to. The smartphone itself, it's pretty much there. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much true. Here's one thing. Dual camera phones, I actually think that's a genuine innovation. I have a colleague who has a Huawei P9, and it's got two cameras right next to it. I know the iPhone does as well, but I don't know all the features that I've seen it in action with the Huawei. So in my hand, I have a better comparison. You can take a photo, and then you can change where the focus is on the photo just absolutely seamlessly.
Yep.
And it's so smooth, and it looks like you actually took it like that.
Yep.
And that's a true innovation. I think but that doesn't change the form factor that much. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the next thing, phones need to be something else. They need to be a PC, or they need to, PC-like experience.
Yeah. I feel like, the rise of the smartphone happened so fast, and it became mature so fast, just over the course of a few short years, and now it's like, okay, the smartphone is a mature technology. Anything else you add onto it, it's going to kind of be gimmicky a little bit. But, yeah, I think the world is ready for the next thing,
I think by the time the iPhone 6 rolled around, it was really obvious that phones weren't going to change that much unless someone tried something really new.
Yeah. Do you think Microsoft will stick around with Windows Phone for indefinitely, or do you think they'll...
Yeah, I do. I think the operating system, I think, will stick around. Because Windows 10 Mobile is part of Windows 10. There's one team that works on Windows 10. And they do a surprising amount of work on Windows 10 Mobile considering their user base. People have said it other than me, but I think there must be something else with Windows 10 Mobile that they're going to be doing. I don't know what it's going to be, whether it's going to be a tablet, whether it's going to be a Surface phone that runs Windows 10 Mobile but also does other things. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but Microsoft is investing so much time, money, and resources into keeping Windows 10 as a whole together, and part of those resources obviously are being used towards Windows 10 Mobile. They got less than a 1% market share. All of their apps, or almost all their apps, are on iOS and Android. If there wasn't a reason in this map that they have Windows 10 Mobile, they would have dropped it by now.
Yeah.
Like, they're not making money off of Windows 10 Mobile. They must have a map. They have this roadmap, and they must just say this is worth keeping around regardless of how many users we have or how many phones we sell.
Yeah. Microsoft really, a few years ago, they really pushed Windows Mobile hard, like very, very hard, and the adoption was going up, but then it kind of tanked again. Yeah, I think you're right. There's something that we're not seeing because, yeah, if Microsoft were Google, they would have dropped it already.
Yeah. Well, Microsoft is not afraid to drop. Look, we're talking about canceled devices today.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like Microsoft isn't willing to scrap a piece of hardware or change how a piece of software works or move on to the next big thing.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I think that they do a lot in terms of trying to they cut things, and you know, we used to have lots of stories about
Yeah.
them
So
cutting employees and things. So if they didn't want this to be a thing, it wouldn't be a thing. I certainly don't think they're keeping around for financial reasons. I think they have a bigger vision.
yeah, I saw a tweet by Zach actually that he was gonna get a tablet that had Windows Mobile on it, and I hadn't heard
Well, there you
about
go.
that before. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. That
Yeah, I mean, I think another thing is UWP is not a platform that's used by everyone, but I think there will kind of be a point where a lot of the big developers make one eventually. Of course, I don't know when you reach that. There are 400 million users of Windows 10. So developers must feel that apps aren't used on Windows 10, or else they develop them.
yeah.
Like I've spoke with companies, so are you going to make a UWP or UWA? And they'll say, no, there's nothing planned right now. And you think, well, what's holding you back? 400 million people. In their mind, they must think, well, people don't use apps on PCs. That's not a thing they use. But if Windows 10 is here for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, eventually they're going to say, well, if we develop this once, it's going to work forever. We might as well put something out there.
Yeah.
And then if that works on a phone as well, then you get to a point where if the iPad Pro replaces some people's PCs, then a Windows Phone or a Windows tablet running Windows 10 Mobile and Continuum could replace people's PCs as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big idea for them. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the strategy plays out. I do like the direction Microsoft is going though, with Windows 10, with trying to unify everything. You know, it seems like it's a bigger effort than it should be. I don't know why it's so difficult, but they're definitely pushing it hard.
All right. Well, let's wrap up a little bit here. Are you mad at Microsoft because they don't release this stuff?
Release the canceled devices?
Yeah.
I guess I was a little bummed when they didn't release the Surface Mini. I do wish that they would release a worthy watch. I feel like I'm really looking forward to that. So I wouldn't say I'm mad. I'm just bummed, I guess.
Sorry, I guess that was a rough segue. But, you know, we're happy with the direction of the software.
Yeah.
But we talked a lot about canceled hardware. It's like on one hand, we're very happy with what they do. But on the other hand, are you frustrated? It's a hard segue. Sorry about that. But I don't know. I get frustrated with Microsoft because they do so many things so well.
Yeah.
And then they do some things so poorly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's every big tech company though.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of them do. How does Microsoft not have some sort of car-based linking system yet?
Right.
How have they not managed to work with MirrorLink or someone else and get some? They have maps, they have Continuum, they have Groove Music. You know, they have all these different things that people would use in a car. How is that not a thing?
Yeah.
How is that not a thing? Now, maybe that's automakers weren't willing to work with them, but I don't know. You think that they could have done?
Yeah, I think there was something called Ford Sync, right? Microsoft Sync or something. I don't know. I have no idea.
But I don't think that worked with like Windows 10. I think that was before Windows 10 Mobile.
Yeah.
It was before Continuum.
Yeah.
How about, I don't know, how about an operating system that works in a car? If you have a giant phone with a 6-inch screen, you could just use that as your sat nav, but make it easier to use while driving. Make the whole operating system be in driving mode.
I would love to use my phone in my car more.
Well, that's right. I mean, I understand that, like, if Ford or a car, Toyota, whoever say, look, we're not going to make this, that's fine. Microsoft can't do a thing about it. So maybe
Yeah.
they could say, Sean, that's your main thing. But I would say there's a way around it.
Yeah.
Make a phone, make a smart app, make a something where it's just your main apps that you would use in a car, and it somehow takes over the phone for a bit. Hands-free phone, music, maps, that type of thing. Make it a really easy interface, big icons,
Yep.
change it. That's what I would.
Did I ever tell you what happened when I used the HoloLens in my car?
That doesn't sound safe at all.
It's transparent. It's fine. I was parked there. I put up my music. I put some little holograms on my dashboard just to make it look pretty. I mean, people decorate
This
their
can't
cars.
be legal.
All right. No, I put it all nice. I had my music going, and so then I put my car in reverse. I reversed out. All my holograms stood exactly in place in the parking spot, and my car left. And all my things that I meticulously spent like at least 20 minutes setting up was all left behind at the parking space. And I waved goodbye to it as I was driving off and took off my HoloLens. I actually took a video of that too. So.
Well, speaking of missed opportunities, Microsoft, you could have HoloLens in the car. Could have.
Yep.
Maybe they still can. Maybe there's a way to pin it to your car instead of the environment around the car.
I don't know. I was shocked when I drove away, but yeah.
What did it do? It must have mapped like what was outside your car and then assumed that
I was
the environment?
shocked. I have no idea. I thought for sure everything would stay in my car, but no, it left. The car moved and all the holograms stayed in the parking spot.
Oh, man. That's pretty funny. Well, why don't we end on that funny story then?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, on that happy note, this has been Talk Microsoft, episode 3. Thank you for joining us, those that did live. And obviously, there are quite a few of you compared to the live numbers are listening on either SoundCloud or YouTube. You can always find us there on our YouTube channel or on SoundCloud. Just search for Win Beta. At least for now, when the website name changes, you'll probably search for something else. But for now, you can search for Win Beta. And you can find me on Twitter at Sean_Michael_UK. And you can find Sean Ong on Twitter at
Sean_Ong.
There you go. And check out his YouTube channel as well for different tips and tricks and that sort of thing. And so that's been Talk Microsoft. You can find WinBeta at winbeta.org. Actually, no, our Twitter handle is now on MSFT.
Oh, really? So the transition has started?
I think it is at least in parentheses.
Okay, great.
You find us to stick around for all sorts of Windows and Microsoft related news. We'll be here live at the same time, at least for a while, until we realize that no one's watching live, and then we'll move it. But you can always watch us on the rebroadcast as well. So we thank you guys very much for joining us this week, and we will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.